Hi, everyone. This is Carrie Knutson with the Creative Educator Collective. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with my good friend, Keith Ouweneel. And this is one of our video series called Shift and Tell, where we talk to educators who have made some sort of shift in their educational career trajectory to do things either to innovate within the walls of education or outside. So today I'm going to introduce you to Keith and have him talk a little bit about his own Shift and Tell journey and tell about the things he's done. So Keith, welcome to a little show here. I would like for you to tell people what you currently do and how you got to that position, so they just get to know a jumping off point for what we're going to ask about next.
Okay. I've been the director at Crown Point Academy for 7 years, and prior to that was in traditional public schools and school administration, so assistant principal, and director of schools. And then I started out my career off as a third grade teacher.
Third grade. How long did you do third grade?
5 years.
Yes. Was it fun?
Yeah. Most days.
Yeah. Anyone who's taught third grade knows that.
If you've ever done a Valentine party, they're not that much fun, but most of the days are fun.
For kids, they are.
Oh, for the kids, it's great.
Yeah.
You coordinate everything, get everybody where they're supposed to go, and make sure everybody's behaving. It's a lot of work.
Right. So there you have it for third grade Valentine's
parties. A lot of
parties.
energy. Yeah. I'm glad I was young.
Now that you're old and a principal, by the way, we're almost the same age.
I was going to say we're a month apart in age, so.
So tell us a little bit, though. So you're the principal now at Crown Point Academy, which is a charter school in Westminster.
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about, though, what kind of shift that you took recently in expanding your role beyond the director job. You had another interest that was kind of, I don't know, pulling at you, and you decided to do something about it. Can you tell us what you did?
Well, I think you're talking about some of the board work that I do. Is that correct? Okay. So I have 5 bosses.
I'm not one of them.
No. And I'm not referring to my wife or anything like that. So the way a charter school works is you have 5, in our case, governing board members. Some schools have 7. But you end up having to work with, different personalities. And in our case, mostly parents. Right. And they have their biases and they care about their kids, but they also have to represent a school. So I've been doing board governance trainings for the last 3 years and started a website called Key Education Solutions, which tackles all sorts of problems, but one of them is board governance training. And how do we get 5 or 7 people who have their unique point of view to work as a team, to get together on the same page and do what's right for a school? So that's work that I do outside the school. And it's interesting because everybody's situation is similar but unique and different.
So what led you to decide that you could start Key Education Solutions? Like, what led that thing? Like, oh, I can start this outside of you're busy, you're the director of a school, you have a family. What led you to feel like, oh, I can make this happen?
I was at first an invitation from the League of Charter Schools and did a conference session on board governance about, what works well and what doesn't. And after that session, started doing trainings with the league. Mm-hmm. They got spun off into working with schools, and sometimes schools want to come back and have you work on their unique individual situations. So you go back and start working on whether it's conflict resolution or strategic planning or whatever their unique need was. And so started Key as a way to kind of keep my world here at Crown Point separate from the work that I was doing with other schools, and try to have those lines not meet, because you don't want to use your work email for your personal things or for other things that you're working on. So Key sort of started with that process to sort of divide the labor between what my day job is and what I'm doing on nights and weekends with other schools.
So do you think of yourself as a small business person? Do you think yourself as an entrepreneur? Have you thought about like your role or how you made that shift?
That's interesting. I think of myself as a problem solver. It's just that some problems you get paid for solving, and then others you have to pay to get them solved. So for me, it was like I saw a need of schools that did not have a plan or needed support or just needed somebody else to come and tell them, hey, you're okay, but you might want to work on these things. Right. And so the shift there was more of like, I think I could help people out. And I'm spending my time and energy and expertise, but it's also something I enjoy. So as strange as it sounds to work with school boards as a hobby, sort of, it was sort of one of those things where they needed some support in certain schools, and I could kind of give them some best practice or some ideas on how they could work together for the school's benefit.
Okay. So what I'm feeling, like, one of the reasons I wanted to interview Keith was because I feel like he found a need and he knew he could help solve the need, even if he didn't see himself as like, oh, I'm going to start a business around this. It kind of just evolved.
No, I don't see it as a business.
Not yet.
I see it as a hobby.
Then you got a business card, so he's legit, right?
Cards.
So I think sometimes when we think about what we're good at and how to monetize the skills we already have, sometimes we don't think about like, hey, I have a skill set that I could actually monetize outside of the school setting, and I have an expertise that other people would pay for.
Yeah, when I talk to student teachers or people interested in coming into education, I always say, don't do what you love, do what you're good at, because you will be rewarded. If you're good at some set of skills, teaching kids or solving problems or fixing motorcycle engines, you will be monetized for that. If your focus is to make money, then that's, I think, short-sighted. If your focus is to be good at something and to provide support and expertise and to be effective, then people will find you and they'll start having, more work than you know what to do with.
Yeah.
So that's sort of where my thought was like, I feel like I have a need. I feel like I have an expertise to help, and then it just sort of took off from there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, what in closing, what advice do you have for people who are thinking about making some sort of shift in their career, but they want to stay potentially in education or maybe move out of it or some way? Do you have any advice or thoughts on your own process that you'd want to share with people?
Yeah, I think you need to be self-reflective. What are you good at? What skills do you lack?
Right.
How do you compensate for those? Do you work with others? Do you spend time and energy on them? People talk about leadership all the time, but leadership is subjective depending on who you're leading, whether it's in my case, leading a board is different than leading a school. Working with adults is different than working with kids. So what are your skill sets? And not everybody's going to be great at everything. So focus on your strengths and weaknesses. And then if you're honest with yourself and have some good self-awareness, you can fill, these are the needs that I need to fill, and these are the people who can help me do that. And then you can be successful, even if you don't have every single skill.
Okay.
My dad used to say, if you don't know, ask a pro, and if you don't know everything, find people who do know those things, and you're going to learn from them if you just take a few minutes and listen. Who
helped you figure out how to do this?
I had a guy named John Brenza, who's a retired superintendent from Eagle County here in Colorado, in Vail, Colorado. And John and I did that first session together on board governance, and I learned a lot from John, and we had similar philosophies. And so it kind of gave me permission to say, if here's this guy with all this experience who thinks in a similar fashion, if I have similar experience and a similar philosophy, maybe there's something I have to offer. And then also John had more business doing this kind of work than he knew what to do with. So there were some people out in the Front Range that he kind of sent my way, and then from there it took off.
Well, that's awesome, because when you think about referrals and connections and people helping each other instead of competing, he was willing to help you.
Yeah, I think from his point of view, he was doing, he's retired. He didn't want to do more than 3 days a week.
Right.
And so from his point of view, it solved two problems. He didn't have to leave these schools high and dry.
Right.
He could find somebody he felt comfortable with support. At the same time, he didn't want to work more than he was willing to work. So,
right. So here you are.
It's been good. And I'm kind of at that point too, where I'm now referring business to other people that I can't get to or don't have time or I'm double scheduled. So it's been a good process to help somebody else.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been good.
Well, thanks, Keith Ouweneel, Director of Crown Point Academy and what is your title? Lead Consultant at Key?
Yeah, Founder and Principal Consultant.
Check out that title, you guys.
Yeah, that's Phil's business card. All right.
All right, we'll get you his business card. If anyone needs it, let me know. But I want to say thanks for your time.
And
thanks for being part of
our Shift pleasure, Carrie.
Always, because we get to work together on top of doing cool interviews like this. But thanks for being part of our Shift and Tell series. As you know, the Creative Educator Collective is all about helping educators in ways that can support you on your journey, whether you stay in the field of education and innovate within that, or whether you're looking to become an entrepreneur outside or have maybe your feet in both worlds a little bit. And we're hoping to share inspirational stories that help you think differently about what's possible for you. So thanks for joining us today. Bye.